The narcissist lives in a surreal world of their own making with devastating results to the real world. The statement that a narcissist is the center of their own world is spot on accurate. The narc is king or queen and creator in this world of theirs, and the rest of us in the real world are merely players in her world. The narcissist's world is the only world they know and the only world that counts to them. So the narcissist decides the rules in this world and answers only to its queen, the narc themselves. How convenient, since every human being on this earth is kind and forgiving to themselves. So what is the point? Well, this attitude causes real damage to the rest of us willing to live in the real world, a world we have to share with others, a world where we aren't king, a world where we are accountable for our actions, a world where we have to compromise to get along. To illustrate this point, let's indulge in a metaphor. Let's give an example of a person who takes a water pistol and spray paints that water pistol, then goes into a bank and brandishes that pistol. The people in that bank are terrorized, and the narc decides to teach that selfish teller a lesson, making her strip to her underwear. The 60-year-old selfish and terrible loan officer who wouldn't give her a loan is terrorized to the point that they have a heart attack. The narc looks on and refuses to allow help to be called. Another teller is so badly threatened she nearly has a seizure. The narc then walks out of that bank not having taken a single penny. So let's take a look at the aftermath here in this metaphorical example. The arrogant, according to the narc, bank teller that had to strip to her underwear was so humiliated that she couldn't return to work and suffered such anxiety that she took years to recover and get back to normal. The loan officer, well, he didn't get a chance to give away his daughter at the wedding. The whole family was devastated, and the loan officer's widow was so distraught she had to sell the house and go into assisted living. 20 years of that poor woman's life was robbed from her. These could have been quality years with her husband, her soulmate. Instead, they were spent isolated, and her mental and physical health deteriorated. Those grandchildren never got to meet and gain wisdom from a man that they would have known as Pop. What about the last teller? Well, she went back to work, but after a few months of waiting for the next person to walk in with a gun, and suffering incredible anxiety attacks, she had to get out of the bank. In fact, she would never again be able to work in a position that had direct contact with the public. What incredible power that narc had! What an accomplishment, and all with a mere water pistol. So, what about the narc? Did they feel any remorse? Of course not. Those people in the bank needed to be taught a lesson. The narc did the world a favor. After all, how could they not understand the importance of that narcissist? How could they commit the cardinal sin of just treating her like some average person off the street? The narc did no wrong. After all, that was a water pistol and they were in no danger whatsoever. She even painted the water pistol dark brown, not black. It should have been obvious that that wasn't a real gun. She never stole a penny of money, no harm was done at all. If these people were so stupid as to not see that gun was a water pistol painted dark brown, it isn't the narc's fault what happened to them. They were too trusting, not wise enough to the world. Too naive, because they had a soft childhood, a life of ease and comfort growing up. Not like the narc, who had to learn early about the harsh reality of life. Therefore, it isn't the narc's fault if they overreacted to something. There was no threat to these people. The narc did nothing wrong, and no one will ever convince the narc otherwise. It isn't the narc's fault. To add to all of this, the narcissist harbors uncontrollable rage, anger, and resentment at both of those tellers and the loan officer. She will never be able to forgive them for what they did to her. Of course, if the authorities ever investigate and question her, she will deny the whole event ever happened. She was simply at the bank to make a deposit, but had to leave before she could make that deposit. Those people at the bank are liars, and they have an overactive imagination. Those people who work at the bank are crazy, they need mental help. This is the mentality of the narcissist, and this is why they will never understand the devastating effects of their behavior or ever take responsibility. They automatically assume no one ever had it harder than them. They assume that anyone who doesn't see them as special is a bad, ignorant person that deserves to be punished. How dare anyone the narc comes in contact with expect to be treated as an equal? Such insurrection would never be allowed. The narc reigns supreme in their own world and will never give up control. Their sole purpose in the love bombing or idealization phase was to get you to willingly enter their world. You willingly entered that world and now you have the audacity to actually want to have rights in the narc's world. You actually think the narc will leave that world of their own creation and share existence in the real world as a mere mortal, and equal to others. You never understood the narc, or you would have never expected the narc to consider you an equal. If you understood the narc, you would have never insisted on having any rights of your own choosing. After all, the narc gave you plenty of rights and plenty of freedom, you just never realized those rights and freedoms were granted to you by the narc. Your assumption that you were entitled to rights and entitled to choose and fight for the rights you decided were important to you was an act of supreme arrogance and pride, according to the narc. That attitude alone justified all that the narc did to you, including your banishment. Thank you for watching. Your comments are always welcomed. Peace be with you.